People from the public sector, Danny Butler from Newport News, Virginia, Joël Lambilot, the fourth person from the town of Sambreville in Belgium. And we also have Mikkel, that is a vendor. He will explain how his business is providing services to towns in the Basque Country in Spain. So this will give you a global perspective of what we are doing and the different aspects that we have. Let's start from the beginning. What is plonegov? It's a collaborative software ecosystem where public organizations and SMEs work together to share best practice, application, and the cost of enhanced capabilities. Well, SME means vendors. It's important to have in mind that it's an ecosystem where we have people from the public sector, from SMEs, and from the open source community, all working together. Some results. The first year we had quite a success. We had 6 awards and nominations in different countries, and it shows that it highlights the excellence and the innovation in the project. Some of these awards and nominations were given for plonegov, the international project. Also, we had, for example, in the US, Newport News, the two awards on the right. Those were won by Newport News in Virginia for their project. So where does plonegov start from? In Europe, we have 100,000 local governments. In the US, you have 22,000. Each have similar needs, limited resources, and are usually open to collaboration. And about 1 year and a half ago, I met people from different countries working in the government, some SMEs, and also some public organization. And I was surprised to see that they were doing very similar things. So the idea was we organize a first international event where people could present their work and see how they could collaborate. So very quickly, instead of, we had people from the left, plus some other representative from other projects in Europe. But very quickly, Newport News, Virginia joined plonegov, and we had also other organizations that came over. What is interesting to see is that it's difficult to value the value of the code base we have today, but with some estimate, I think we have over $6 million, and it's probably much more because it's the pool of software is growing, and the goal is to share as much as we can. Today, the scale, we reach 100 towns. We start from towns, but we reach towns, region, parliaments, so all level of powers, and also public agencies. And we have activities in 20 countries over 4 continents. In blue, well, I've listed some countries. In blue, there are countries that have already expressed interest, and it's a question of time to see how we can collaborate with them or start to have a relationship. Something that is special about plonegov are the different players and how we work together. So it's very important to have people from the public sector deeply involved in the project. It's what they bring. They bring an expertise about their needs, and they know exactly how to adapt the technology to suit the best their needs. And as soon as they work with other public organizations, they can develop or feed us back with information to create more generic tools that can be used by everybody. So it's very important to have a strong presence of people from the public sector. Another reason of the speed of dissemination of this project was that ZA, I'm managing ZA Partner. It's a non-profit business network, which goal is to promote, develop Plone and increase its visibility and have actions that allow to reach new markets. And it's a network of currently 25 businesses in 14 countries. And within the network, we have a number of experts. There are core developers, or we have integrators, and a number of them are extremely interested in e-government. So we have a pool of skills, and this is the second part of the the pool we have within plonegov. And the third part is the open source community. We have a very strong link with the Plone community, and with time, as the project will grow, we'll have more and more links with the community. each group has its own skills. For example, the businesses, obviously, they know how to provide services, and they have an expertise in managing projects and developing applications. Working with the open source community, we have people that know exactly what are the processes to develop collaborative software. And this is, for example, something very new for the public sector. If two public organizations want to collaborate together, they have to learn the practices we have within the Plone community. And thanks to that, they can develop applications that will be easily, they will be able to share easily. And also suppliers will be able to understand the way they work. And we had these three poles of expertise, but in the last month, we had other organizations that showed an interest and are coming to approaching the project, which are universities and non-profit. And this, I think, it's a sign of maturity, showing that universities are seeing the potential, and non-profit also. There are, for example, some non-profit that are delivering services in e-government. For example, John Style, his organization is providing services to NGOs, to non-profit organizations. There are other non-profit that do exactly the same for the public sector. So there we have the potential to have organizations that are going to reuse the tools we have and spread it to tens or hundreds of other organizations. And it's very important to have universities involved because it brings additional expertise in the network. So what is new about plonegov, and why do we attract so many people? It's difficult when you are within a project to know exactly what you do that is different than others. So I start to have, I'm living nearby Brussels, and I have contact with the people working for the European Commission. And in some cases, there has been studies about the open source, what is happening in e-government, or what are the different ways to develop collaborative software in Europe. And I had contact with them. So, and with what they learned, they came out with, and they analyzed all the market. They came out with some explanation that showed where the innovation lies in our model. First, it's a new model. They found only two models in Europe of collaborative software that have such an impact and that are open. And it's something that is particular in our case. Second, the impact. There is the potential impact we have is very important, and it explains why, for example, in Belgium, starting with 2 towns in 2005, the project reaches now 75 towns. There is an economy of scale that is the engine of growth. So as new towns join, they can increase their saving and they can invest more in new development or in maintaining the tools. And that's a very important part. The third aspect is that the project, since the start, was designed to be open. We want more organization, we want more public organization, we want more vendors, and we want to have more contacts with as much contacts as possible with the open source community. So it's open and international, and any new partner is a potential contributor and is welcome to join the project. As a consequence, there is a graph that shows the trends in 4 countries. Just to show that the potential of growth is high, the blue line is the line showing the evolution in Belgium. There, in 4 years, the project is reaching now 30% of the towns in southern Belgium, meaning that it has become a de facto standard. So sometimes it's strange to hear that when a town wants to use another technology, the first question they have to answer is, why don't you use Plone? So it's good to be in that situation. The same potential, we have the yellow line, it shows the evolution in Spain. And then the bottom, we have the evolution in the US and Switzerland. What is important to know is that you see that it's starting to rise. The most difficult is the beginning. So it's not, you have to take this line as the beginning of a potential high growth. And the most difficult at the beginning is to have the first group of 5 to 10 towns that develop collaboration. And this takes time because the different teams have to learn how to collaborate, and there are some issues that have to be solved that are not related to code, but for example to management, to processes, to how to pool budgets, and this takes time. So it's very important to have this kind of progress. And with the information I got during the conference, I think that in fact, in the US, for example, we already have many more towns than what is on the draft that are already using Plone and that would accept to collaborate. It's a question of finding the people and developing collaboration and contacts with them. About the management so far, how the project is being managed. It's still a new project, so we are going to improve what we do. We have different national branches and each project is independent and can manage their own activities the way they see it, that is the more suited to their country. So there is no specific rules there. Each one knows better in his country or region what problems to address and how to solve them. And then we have international activities, and these are, I will comment more in detail with it just later. So about the national activities, who is doing it? Depend on the countries. Sometimes we have the public sector leading, sometimes we have vendors leading. And, but always trying to get more contacts with the other group. And they are focused on technical development, the regional promotion, and also on services and support. For the international activities, here we have the work is being done by the public sector and non-profit. As I said, ZIA is a non-profit, and we had a very strong involvement at the early stage, but this we can adapt the system in the future. And for example, all the work done for or most of the work for the promotion, the dissemination, writing case studies, contacting international agencies, promoting the project, and going to international events, all this has been taken over by ZIA during the 1.5 years. And we still have to work on the business model. We have to solve a number of issues. For example, how to fund an international, or how can we fund and pool budget between different public organizations and sometimes between countries. That's a difficult point to address. But these are the kind of things that we are working on and that we will make progress in the future. If you want more information, you can go on the site. You will find more information about the project, about the awards, about the sub-communities that are the different branches. You have the contact name of the different people and contact address. We have a list of references, and there are a few case studies. So as we are publishing as much information as possible on the website. You can also take the brochure if you don't have it. There is a brochure outside, and we are working on a number of translations also. So this is for the first part. If you're already involved in e-government and already have a project, you are welcome to join plonegov and develop your own sub-community. The more we are, the best it is. Now I will ask to Danny Butler to explain the experience in Newport News. Yes.
Let me ask first, how many city governments do we have represented in here? Oh. One sort of, kinda? Yeah. Okay. Let me explain the U.S. portion of this. The eGov is for Plone, basically for city governments. Let me start way back in the day when I was coding up our site with a notepad and HTML code, begging people for content. Then all of a sudden it got popular. People started coming to us with content, and we became what Jerry McGovern called putter-uppers. You want something put up? Bring it to me, I'll put it up on the web for you. Then tools started rolling out like Dreamweaver and Front Page, and the Wild Wild West started. Everybody started putting up their own content, navigation, colors, animated GIFs. You've seen it all out there. So that's where we were for a long time because we had no political power to make anyone do anything. Most city governments are like that. But all of a sudden our city council said, you know, other people around us, other cities are getting web awards. Why aren't we? Well, give us some money, give us some power, and we'll do that for you. That happened. So we start off, and our director, Andy Stein, says, you know, this would be a great chance for collaboration. Every city needs a website. Everybody has services and resources and this type of thing. Why should everybody be building their own website? Let's collaborate with other cities, build one, and make it available freely for any government to take. That's how we started off with it. It was working out fairly well. We wanted to make it free entry, so we weren't going to pay for anything. Plone was free. Linux was free. What are we going to use for a graphic tool? GIMP was free. Anything was free, we put in there. We actually wound up with a whole stack of all the tools with manuals and everything for anybody just to bring up their site. So we met with a group of departments, took about 2 years, and we came up with all kinds of features. Like I said, there's the services and the resources. In government, there might be an emergency message. We're closed for snow or whatever. We've got our contact information. Every department's got information. We might want to spotlight something. We wanted an A to Z. We weren't sure how people were going to come into our site, so we could have a resource document. We could have an A to Z, which would also list it. We have a search. So we were trying to address every potential way a customer could come to our site. We figured if this would make it easier to roll this out to other cities, because we're trying to solve the political problems of why other cities aren't adopting this. We figured if we came up with a good model, then it would make sense that a city could say to their management, look, this city went through this whole thing for 2 years. They've thought out everything. Let's give it a try and see if it's going to work for us. So we came up with features. There are some of them on your handout here, like we have forms and issue trackers. We put staging in so we can do versioning, so you can back stuff out. We talked about the A to Z. We got the spotlights and the emergency tools. And for collaboration, we wanted other cities to sort of jump in here and pay for some of this. So to start off with, we actually went out to 6 feet up and paid for part of our site, the spotlights. So we've offered that up to the community for free. So we're going to see if anybody will take us up on here. So basically, 2 years later, where were we? Remember, City Council wanted that award. So as Javier pointed out, the first award we got was the Robert Havlick Award. That was like first place. This is the Alliance for Innovation, very prestigious award. We went to Greenville, North Carolina, picked up our awards. It was really interesting. Next, we entered another site award, if you would, for the Center for Digital Government. We were one of the 5 finalists for Government to Government. So here we are sitting with 2 awards, not one for our city council. We got a collaborative product here that we're offering out free. So next thing is, well, is anybody actually using this thing? We checked and we've had over 500 downloads of our product. More than half are Windows. We offer a Windows and a Linux version of it. We've got a couple of people using our intranet version of it. But Franklin County was the very first one to step up. They said, we're interested in this. What can you do for us? Can you host us? Can you train us? Everything. So, in fact, I logged into one PC in Franklin County, brought up their Windows version. They made all their content. Back in Newport News, we brought up a Linux version of it with backups, everything. They exported their data. We imported the data. Voila, their site is up. And they love their site. We've got about 5 sites up. We know at least. We probably have more than that. An example would be Madeira, California called us and said, we got a question about your eGov product you got out here. We answered a few questions for them, and they went off. Well, a week or 2 later, we're just sort of looking around and find out that Madeira, California actually brought up our site. So they're running it also. So I'm not sure what's out there. Virginia Beach, who has more money than God, who has less money than Fairfax County, has Vignette, and they're finding they're going to need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to change where they are now. So they actually came to us for half a day. We explained eGov. They had some interest in that, but they're looking at other things too, Drupal and, oddly enough, SharePoint. So people are interested in this. Albuquerque, New Mexico had a problem where they had a Plone developers group, but they were down to 1 person. So they were starting to get a little freaky with only having 1 developer. Could we help them? So we connected with them, did some coding on their site for them, some examples of what we could do. But then we found out that we can only offer assistance in Virginia. Hence, Franklin County, we charge them $260 a month, very cheap for what we're giving them. Unfortunately, Albuquerque, we could not help them. So I'll get that a little bit later here. And also, we've had contact like FBI. We've helped them with some stuff on their Plone site, too. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with, we'd like help from the Plone community. We're rolling this product out. There is some interest. This is a great opportunity for developers, vendors to get on board with this because we've done the political part. People are accepting the product now. So there's, as Javier said, there's like 22,000 cities and governments. We know we're in 5. There's a huge potential there for rolling this thing out. We can only host Virginia, but surely there's a hosting model that you guys can use out there at other vendors. I think Jakarta talked about PON CMS, was it, something like that, to roll it out. Training, we offer training too, but we only give them 2 hours a month. You could easily set up video trainings. We provide all our documentation, everything. So all the training is there. A vendor could easily step up and say, oh, we'll be willing to help you with training also. They need custom skin configuration. We've done some, but of course that's going to be cutting in their 2 hours of time. So this is a very large community. Don't wait to be asked for them to come do something for them. Like 6 feet up, we contacted them, we needed something. This is a government. You start talking to some, you're going to see a common need among all of them. So you might actually develop something up front, then start approaching these cities, and you can push it that way. So we would like to get to where Belgium is, where you have to justify not using Plone for your site. We're not there yet. 5 out of 22,000, we'll get there sometime. So that's the eGov portion, and we're hoping to have your help and get it more adopted throughout the U.S.
Thank you, Danny. If you want more information about the Open eGov, their project, you have the link here on the slides. Everything is very well documented on their site, so I invite you to take a look. The next person to speak is Mikel. He's going to present Udal Plone, the project in the Basque Country.
Hello, good morning. I'm Mikel Larreategi from Code Syntax, a small Basque company in northern Spain and southern France. We work with SOAP since 2000, when the company was created by three people. And we work mainly in the Basque Country and mainly with public administration and local governments. We build corporate sites, intranet, and medium-sized CMSs, not only for governments, but lastly, the last 2 years, we've seen that working with government is a very good way to introduce open source in this government. We make a very, for us, internationalization and localization is very important. We have a very strange language spoken only in Basque Country, the Basque, and also Spanish is official in Basque Country. So having multilingual websites is very important for our government. And And I also wanted to say we are 15 people in Code Syntax. Not everyone working on Plone. We are 3 engineer people in working on Plone and 2 designers, but we have also many other engineers. Our clients, other than medium-sized enterprises or associations, are also universities and educational institutions. Thanks to our involvement in plonegov, we have introduced ourselves in universities. We have 2 private universities in the Basque Country as our clients. Both of them have, one has the public website made with Plone, and the other one has a student's website with Plone. But also we have get contact with the public university in the Basque Country. Thanks to plonegov, they've seen we are working in Europe, we are working with other people, on Plone, so they have contacted us to help them. Also, as I said before, multilingualism is very important for us, so Plone and plonegov help us in doing this job. No? We have reached the conclusion that all local governments and regional governments, there are 4 levels of governments in Spain, from local to central government, share all common needs. In Spain, this year, a law says that every public website of an administration have to offer online document requests. Also timestamping for document publication. It's another medium for people to contact with the administration. So every local council, small councils, big governments need common things. They also need logging with electronic certificates. We have, I think, 17 PKIs in Spain. Every autonomy has its own PKI. Everyone have an electronic ID with a chip, and we need to log in with the chip in the site. So we built, thanks to Belgian people, we learned last year in Naples how they work with electronic ID, and we have built a solution to log in Plone with a Spanish ID, and also to use data from the certificates in Plone4Gen forms, for example, and also it's very important for our clients to log in in their intranet sites. Our clients don't want intranet work with Plone. They need Plone for the public website, for the face of their administration, and that's why we think that things useful in Belgium can also be useful in Spain. No? For example, the e-identification thing I've just explained. So not only the public plonegov has helped us to work with public administration, but also with universities and educational institutions, and also with political parties that rule some local governments that had contacted us for their public website or for their camping sites. We have regional government election next year in April, and a small political party in our area has contacted us to work with them for their political campaign site. So I have nothing more to say. Just thanks to Xavier for the help he does, for the work he does with plonegov, and also to Danny and Joel for explaining us this plonegov thing. Thank you.
Excuse me for my Belgium English. So the Common Plone project. Now Common Plone is a community which includes approximately 74 towns in South Belgium. The total of towns in South Belgium is 260, so we have reached more than 25% of the total of town in South Belgium. In this community, we want to really work tightly with the Plone community. In fact, at the origin we met some Plone developers, guys like Godefroy Chapelle and so on, and so you know them, of course. And so we discovered that we have the public services and the open source community like Plone has really the same goal, better user services for the community, and for the public services, better citizen services. So we really choose that kind of community because we have the same goal, and also because there are some specific SMEs in that community, Plone community. It's SMEs, very technological, of course, but who don't have some secret box, black box inside. You know, when you choose an open source product, some vendors have a black box hidden so that they can tie you to the SMEs. And really, we have not found this kind of behavior in those vendors. So we are, of course, working in close cooperation with SMEs in Belgium, France, or all over the world, of course, and with also now Belgian governments and Belgian parliaments. Our products are running now in 3 Belgian governments. And we are using FLOSS rules, so the Plone community rules. We tend to use, we want to use those rules as much as possible. So our products are, of course, GPL licensed. And we have the same methods of the Plone community. So we use sprints in Belgium, in France, all over the world. We will go to Newport News next Monday to have a sprint with those guys. We have also collaborative tools, SVN, Track, and so on. And we use the extreme programming techniques. So we want that our software, of course, is available for towns, for citizens, for SME. They just can download it on our website. We have also high-tech websites and business applications. It's really the trend, actually, to go towards business application. So I will show, of course, in close collaboration with the Plone community. That's why I'm working in a city in Belgium, and I'm here, and I was somewhere there in the Plone conference in April last year. What we are doing with that stuff, I mean the Plone stuff, we have now 9 different products based on Plone. We have, as you say, you see here, I will say the citizen-oriented part, websites, GIS, and online services that allow 5 minutes, yes, okay, allow a citizen to download some administrative documents. And in the lower part here, you have the business application, the urbanism management, document management, meeting management for city council and so on, governments, task management, public requirements, and project management. This product has been developed by Newport News. So our website, we have now approximately 30 websites in production in South Belgium. And we have not only towns, but police departments and so on. That's very new. Secure online services with the electronic card, of course. And so the citizen can download and pay administrative documents and see the history of his demands and so on. Meeting management with the meeting sessions, and automatic generation of open office documents and so on. We also are working with Sun Microsystem for these plugins. Urbanism and GIS, so the integration of the GIS base on open layers in Plone, and spatial requests that generate mailing and so on. For instance, here to mail to the citizen in a particular area. So what's the key of success of Common Plone? You see the steep curve now. So we have reached a point where it's difficult to manage because there are really much more and more cities that want to enter the community. I mean, with real concrete stuff. All the 74 cities are really using in test mode or really production mode our product. So the first step is that the Union of Municipalities enter the community in 2006. So we have another structure, another level of power from cities that really communicate on the project. That was really the first key of success. The second is when we launch hosting for all the municipalities, because we could thereafter produce really best services on their servers. So the towns that could not afford to have their own infrastructure, they just ask us, and we launch a website in approximately 20 minutes for a town. And of course, now we are delivering a new website, as I said, in 20 minutes. So more and more towns are interested, because when they phone us to have the services, the day after they have their website in a test mode. So what we ask for the different towns, it's a fee of 100 euros per month. That's $150, okay, per month for each town, but most little towns. And they can access any Common Plons project on the server. They just have an access to the server. Of course, the migration are included when we are going from Plon 2.5 towards Plon 3.0. This is included, but new developments are not included, of course. That's really a little fee for that. Well, the problem is, I think, afterwards, when we look behind us with that community, I think that a town alone cannot start a community by itself, because there is really a competition. I think it's the case everywhere in the world. So it's very difficult for a town. I think it's possible to have, let's say, 5, 6, 10 towns maximum in a small community, but you need another infrastructure to start really a big community, because you are not credible as a unique town. Okay, you know, you have an IT manager, you have a team and so on with a Plon specialist, but they say, okay, well, you are alone, but they cannot afford to have this kind of team. Look, there is a kind of jealousy, I think, between the towns. So we found the Union of Municipalities. In Italy, they use, for instance, the Chamber of Commerce that replaced the Union of Municipalities in Belgium. That's, you must find such a structure. That won't work either. So this structure can collect fees, of course, and finance migration, hosting, and training, which is very important. We organize a training every month in Common Plon community. And so afterwards, because we are coming from public services, it's easy for us to convince the IT manager in public services, of course. It's much easier than a SME to convince. That's another key of success. And we start, of course, with small strategic products. Products like the meeting management for the city council management is very important, because it reaches politicians and it reaches employees in the administration. So when the product is running, everybody is glad, and so they are convinced, and they discuss with other people, and you have some days later another town that wanted your product. Now for new development, of course, there's a difficulty when you are 70 towns. Each town can finance some functionality. So you must really coordinate these public requirements, and so you must ask some lawyers to write the documents and so on. But no time to explain to explain my organization. And so the networking, of course, is the website communplone.org with all tools and discussion and so on. So we have forum and wiki and so on. So that's the life of the community. Okay, thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Joël. Two more points about what Joël said. One thing, growing a project, we found out that it's sometimes easier to develop collaboration at an international level than in the region, because you don't have any political struggle or any political limitation. And another thing is that that explains their success is that they are copying the processes of the community. So they are meeting the developers are meeting every week or every 2 weeks. What is
every week?
Every week they have the developers from several towns are working together. So that way they can share their expertise. The session is over, but if some of you want to ask a few questions before the next one, we have a little time. So, do you have questions?
Yeah, I'm interested in knowing, since you are providing services to everybody, and everybody has a huge range of technical skills in navigating a website, do you actually test people regarding your interfaces?
Yeah.
For example, I would like to offer my mother as a test subject for you.
Can't you break anything? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, of course that's a problem. We have, I think, 90% of these towns that do nothing in the community. So they're just waiting for services, and they pay for services. Either you finance the services, either you participate to. And so we have actually 5 developers in the community of 70 towns. That's not much, but that's sufficient. And we have really a technical team that is always here because it's 5 person coming from 5 different towns. That's really, really important, not to have the same teams and the same place. Same person at the same place, that won't work. And for web designer, we have 2 web designers in the community. But, as I said, we work with SMEs. That's really the goal, not to work us alone to create our own product, but really to spend money on SMEs and to. But the goal is really to surveiller, je sais pas comment dire, to supervise, yes, so something like that. You know that we know every step of the production of the processes.
We also have two web designers, and we have just opened a usability lab in our company. So we are going to start in 2009 to test a website and to test with people, with common users and with occasional users, the websites we built and also the website for public administration.
In Newport News, we did bring the public in, and we gave them several tasks to see how easy it was for them to accomplish, and we've made some changes based on that.
So is there a business model behind this that you're using? I mean, how do you support these activities? Are these just resources that are being contributed by the partners? And then how do you sustain sort of the overall organization from a monetary perspective to provide cycles to do the organization pieces?
In Newport News, what we're doing is we will provide to the community anything we're doing for ourselves. So it's not like we're using taxpayers' dollars to develop something for another town or something. If we're going to do it ourselves, our model is we'll offer it up to anybody. So.
Yes, and for like I explained, each branches has its own business model. Meaning, for example, the towns they have their own budget and they're investing and they're requiring services. For the international activities, I'm working on, investigating sources of funding to develop the project at a larger scale. But first, like always, if you don't have results, it's very difficult to get funding. So the first part is to raise visibility, to have a practical example of collaboration that are working. Today we can explain that Newport News, working with towns in Belgium, each site is earning, is reducing costs by hundreds of thousands of dollars. They can show it to their boss, and we can prove it. So that helps to develop after we will reach a way, we will find a way to fund the international activities. It's on its way, but it's normal. It's a new project. It has a little bit more than 1 year, so it will take more time. Yes?
Do you know of competing projects of this kind that use other CMS? If you want to convince a town or an organization to use these Plon products, I guess one of the first questions is why not use another CMS? Maybe there is another community of this kind, but based on Drupal or another content management system.
Yes, we have, because for Plon is everywhere in Belgium, so they had another CMS, some towns had Drupal CMS and so on, but they had no sufficient services. So we produce training and services. That's quite the difference. And we had inside the community the knowledge, and so we can really train people in the community. We had, for instance, in my town, we had a public requirement of $60,000 in coaching. So really invest 60,000.
Yes, 60,000.
Yeah. So we have decided to invest in that community and that knowledge.
As far as we know, there are no other collaborative projects that are similar with other technologies. And one, I still would like to investigate. Is it? Are we the first? And is it? Or is there any other reason? Maybe it's technically Plon allows you to share tools in a much more easier way than with other technologies. I heard that with other technologies, sometimes it's not possible to reuse code written by other people. In that case, it would not be possible to develop such a project.
And we have business application running,
Yes.
tightly linked with the web services. So that's really the difference also.
When Danny came to Ireland, it was earlier this year, I organized a meeting with another developer from Belgium, and in about half a day, they had found ways to share their tools. They had to keep investigating. But after half a day of work, they knew that they can reuse the tools built by another organization. So that shows that the collaboration is really possible. I think we have to close, but if you have more questions, you can ask us after the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.